Everybody has a dream. For two guys named George and Lenny, that dream is simply land of their own, being able to work for themselves, and a few soft rabbits to tend to. George and Lenny are a couple of hardworking guys who travel together from job to job, trying to earn enough money to live their dream of being landowners who work on their own terms and have chickens and rabbits. For Lenny, it's all about the rabbits. Lenny is a big guy, but he's more like a giant child. All he wants in life is to touch soft things and spend time with George. Even though George is a lot smaller than Lenny, he sort of acts like a big brother to him. They've known each other a long time, and George has looked after Lenny ever since they met. Even though Lenny is a child in a man's body, he still understands just how much George has done for him, and he loves George and would be completely lost without him. Sometimes Lenny's love of soft things gets him and George into trouble, but George's affection for Lenny stays strong until the end.
George and Lenny have hopped from job to job before, but the story takes place on a farm in California. There are a bunch of other workers on the ranch, some of the most prevalent being Candy, an old man who wants to join with them in their dream, Curly, the boss's son who likes to milk his status as much as he can, and Curly's wife, the only girl on the ranch with a dream to be an actor. But whether they achieve their dreams or not is up to you to read the book. So even though Of Mice and Men is a short book, there's still a lot of important scenes that happen in this, but two of the most important that we found are the rabbits scene and Curly and Lenny's fight. George and Lenny have this entire plan about how they're going to go buy their own farm and live off the fat of the land and have rabbits, which is what Lenny is most interested in.
And that's all he's wishing for the whole journey through this book is just wishing. Lenny is just wishing for his rabbits. That's all he wants.
And Lenny basically hangs on George's every word because George said that if he gets into too much trouble, he won't be able to tend the rabbits.
While Lenny was listening to George, Lenny actually got in a fight, and since he listened to George, he fought back.
Yeah, he said, you can't let him push you around, fight back, don't get yourself hurt. And so Lenny did, and because he's so big, hurt Curly, who he was fighting in the process.
And Curly, just after the fight, Curly just wanted to get rid of Lenny. That's all he wanted to do.
Their relationship is actually quite interesting because George is one of those guys who doesn't like to show love. He'll bang on his partner, he'll say bad things, but you can actually see in the undertone that he loves George and that he loves Lenny and that he really needs him.
Probably the best thing about this book is the relationship that these two guys have, and that's one thing that I liked about it. And I also liked how they invited Candy into their dream. They just have their dream open for everyone.
And they get really close to achieving it too. I mean, because Candy's got because he's old, so he's got all his money set apart in the bank for his dream, and so he thinks, well, there's not much I can do because I'm so old, so I might as well go and work on their farm once I get it. Overall, I think it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. The wording is amazing. Of course, there's swearing for the time period there, and that's one problem I had. Other than that, it's a really good book.
Especially with the black man, I forget his name, but he kind of gave some insight. The author gave some insight into what the black man thought about white people, and that was very interesting to see. So I really liked that.
Yeah, the other side.
He kind of describes the character a little bit, just for you to get a picture of him, and then through the story, he lets you see the character and find out what they're like, which is really hard since it's so short. But he's a master at it, I guess.
I wish I knew a little bit more of Lenny and George's background, and I wish it was just a little bit longer so I could get more depth of George, because I feel like George doesn't really feel like George.
Yeah, like he was there at the beginning, and you kind of like at the beginning George was more like you could kind of see George's perspective a little more, but then as like the story went on, it kind of leaned off of George, and you didn't get to see him so much. So
yeah, thank you. That was. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would recommend this book to anyone who wants to read it.
The ending is a surprise, so you will all need to read the book.
No spoilers.
No, yeah.